Hey everyone, welcome to today's Explainer. We're diving into the landscape for Friday, June 19th, 2026. We have a massive spectrum of shifting paradigms to cover today. Seriously, we're talking about everything from global geopolitical bottlenecks and completely unprecedented AI regulations, all the way down to the weekend's biggest cultural moments. So let's map out exactly what's happening and why it all matters.
Okay, let's dive into this. Here is our roadmap for today. We'll start with Juneteenth and the weekend weather, then move into geopolitics and global trade. From there, we'll hit tech, AI, and surveillance, followed by markets and corporate power, before wrapping up with sports and weekend culture. Section 1, Juneteenth and weekend weather, focusing on the immediate impacts.
First up today is Juneteenth, National Independence Day. This marks exactly 161 years since Union soldiers arrived down in Galveston, Texas in 1865, bringing the news to enslaved people that the Civil War was over and they were finally free. Now, because this is a federal holiday, we're seeing major closures across the board here in the U.S. We're talking U.S. stock markets like the NYSE and NASDAQ, banks, federal offices, and the Postal Service. They are all totally paused until Monday. But just keep in mind, international markets like London, Euronext, Tokyo, and Hong Kong, they're actually still open for normal trading sessions today. Beyond the market closures, we're also steering down a weekend defined by some pretty massive weather extremes. Down on the Gulf Coast, remnant moisture from Tropical Storm Arthur is triggering severe flash flooding across Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, and the Florida Panhandle. We're talking about areas that have already been hammered with more than 10 inches of rainfall since Wednesday. It's like a complete washout. But then, in total contrast, a dangerous heat dome is just gripping North Texas and the broader South. The Dallas-Fort Worth area is bracing for heat indices of 105 to 110 degrees straight through the long weekend. Talk about a sharp divide in regional conditions, right?
Section 2, Geopolitics and Global Trade. We're looking at stalled talks and major bottlenecks.
550. Just picture that for a second. That's the estimated number of merchant ships, tankers, bulk carriers, container ships, currently just sitting there, waiting to transit out of the Gulf. This massive bottleneck is basically the backdrop to some really serious diplomatic delays right now. Formal U.S.-Iran nuclear negotiations that were supposed to kick off this weekend in Switzerland, totally postponed. Vice President J.D. Vance's trip to Geneva was called off, and the White House confirmed that Trump will be heading to Camp David for policy and family meetings instead. For the broader market, this colossal pileup of vessels means global supply chains are bracing for immediate delays, and yes, that could quickly trickle down to consumer prices. So let's break down the physical reality of what's holding up those 550 ships. Following a memorandum of understanding signed at Versailles, the Strait of Hormuz is technically open to commercial traffic. But there's a catch, a big one. According to the Marine Director of the International Tanker Owners Association, the northern route through Iranian waters is open and the southern route through Omani waters is open. But that crucial central channel, it is completely blocked by an estimated 80 mines. Mine clearing operations are currently underway, and that painstaking process is exactly what's creating this massive logistical pause for global shipping.
Section 3, Tech, AI, and Surveillance. The boundaries are rapidly expanding.
Let's shift gears to oversight and government reach. A newly reported Department of Homeland Security document outlines plans to share the exact same facial recognition technology used by federal immigration agents directly with local police. Civil liberties organizations are definitely sounding the alarm on this one. They're arguing it raises severe Fourth Amendment concerns and could effectively extend federal immigration enforcement right into local communities without any legislative green light. And this whole theme of who watches the watchmen is echoing in the courts right now too. For example, a student-led group at Emory Law School just petitioned the Supreme Court questioning the independence of how the federal judiciary actually polices its own misconduct. We're seeing huge debates over accountability at every level of government this week.
Now, what's really interesting here is how we're also witnessing a completely unprecedented expansion of government authority. Bloomberg just published a major legal analysis breaking down Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick's recent directive targeting Anthropic's Fable 5 and Mythos 5. Historically, export control laws focus on moving physical hardware or software, but this new Lutnick directive, it targets the mere usage of an AI model by foreign nationals. Legal experts are pointing out this raises some massive, unresolved constitutional questions about exactly how far the government can reach into private, commercial AI deployments in the meme of national security. For developers and the broader market, this means facing massive compliance hurdles and shifting timelines. It's a real game changer.
At the same time, the tech giants are navigating some extreme geopolitical crossfire.
Internal Meta records were recently reviewed, showing that Israel's government submitted removal requests targeting Facebook and Instagram posts that mourned Iranian leaders or supported Iranian military actions. Now, Meta maintains that all flagged content is simply reviewed under its standard policies, no matter who submits the request. However, critics are arguing these disclosures bring up major concerns regarding wartime content moderation and potential political suppression. It's an incredibly delicate and highly scrutinized tightrope for Meta to walk right now.
Moving on to Section 4, Markets and Corporate Power, specifically the business of AI. The sheer scale of SpaceX's financials right now is just staggering. They're reportedly prepping a bond offering of more than $20 billion, trying to secure investment-grade financing to fund operations. And get this comes just days after their massive, record-breaking $75 billion IPO. While their stock is actually up 37% from the IPO price, the cash burn is immense. SpaceX lost nearly $5 billion in 2025 and just posted a $4.28 billion net loss in the first quarter of 2026 alone. A huge portion of that financial drag is coming specifically from the AI division that absorbed Elon Musk's xAI. So all this massive cash burn really complicates valuations. In fact, NYU finance professor Aswath Thammararan is out there warning investors that getting added to the S&P 500 just isn't the magic bullet it used to be. For newly public AI giants like SpaceX, OpenAI, and eventually Anthropic, he argues the index inclusion effect has severely diminished, mostly due to the massive growth of passive investing. He's predicting much smaller and far more transitory price bumps that investors are currently hoping for. That definitely resets expectations for anyone looking to capitalize on these behemoths. And this brilliantly illustrates how all this corporate consolidation is bleeding directly into our cultural anxieties. This week, an NPR essay went completely viral for arguing that the true horror in the classic alien sci-fi franchise wasn't the xenomorph. It was Weyland-Yutani, the mega corporation with completely unchecked power over its workers. The fact that this specific essay resonated so deeply across social media this week, right alongside all these real-world headlines about massive AI corporate restructuring and governance debates, perfectly captures the public's current mood regarding labor and the power of tech giants. All right, let's take a breath and wrap up with Section 5, Sports and Weekend Culture. The Weekend Release. I absolutely love this story. With the 2026 World Cup bringing massive international crowds to the US right now, we're seeing this totally unexpected and hilarious cultural exchange online. International fans are taking to social media to marvel at distinctly American dining customs. They're literally geeking out over the concept of free drink refills and the endless bread at Texas Roadhouse. It's generating this wave of viral, lighthearted content that honestly provides a really welcome cultural respite from the heavy geopolitical tensions we've been tracking all week. Looking at the actual World Cup action on the pitch, we've got some fantastic updates. Brazil completely throttled Haiti in early action, while Morocco held on for a super tight 1-0 victory against Scotland. But the really big news for domestic fans, the U.S. men's national team secured a 2-0 victory against Australia out in Seattle. Even without their injured star Christian Pulisic, an early own goal and a strike from Alex Freeman allowed the U.S. to officially clinch a round of 32 knockout berth with a whole game to spare. Over in the golf world, the U.S. Open leaderboard is shaping up to be truly historic. Wyndham Clark has built a commanding 4-shot lead heading into the weekend at 7 under par. That score actually sets the best 36-hole record in U.S. Open history at Shinnecock Hills. Meanwhile, it was a pretty rough Friday for some big fan favorites. Rory McIlroy faded fast with 3 straight bogeys, and Bryson DeChambeau shot a 75 and is actually projected to miss the cut entirely. Capping off the sports world, New York City is still riding the ultimate high. Following a massive ticker-tape parade right through the Canyon of Heroes, the Knicks NBA championship celebration continued with the team meeting Mayor Eric Adams at City Hall. He officially declared it Jalen Brunson Day with a city proclamation, honoring the Guard's absolutely legendary 45-point Game 5 performance that clinched the title over the Spurs. Seriously, what an incredible week for New York. Which brings us to the big picture, and the major theme we've been tracing across all these topics today. We're seeing mine-clearing delays holding up hundreds of ships, massive tech giants absorbing billions in losses to build out AI capabilities, and completely unprecedented legal stretches to regulate who can even use that intelligence. So I want to leave you with this provocative thought. As AI giants fundamentally reshape the market and export laws stretch into totally new, uncharted frontiers, are our traditional watchdogs actually equipped to regulate the future? Let that sit with you this weekend as you digest these massive shifts. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer, and we'll see you next time.